I thought that said St. Louis. I realized it's St. Luke. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy mid-June, I guess it is, and sweltering weather. It feels like September. So welcome to June's Town Hall meeting. To get us kicked off today, we'll call forth Pastor Elliott. I'm hearing myself. I'm like, who's talking back there? Thank you, Jeff. Wouldn't be the first time. Certainly won't be the last.
Thank you. You gonna steal the clicker again this year?
No, I was just trying to figure out if it was working or not. Yeah, it was working. It's not now.
Oh,
I didn't do anything
stuck
with
right
it.
here. Somebody had hit inside the box. That's why. Now it probably works. There you go. Before I pray, I better turn that off. All right. Good to see you all today. Wonderful to be here. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we give you thanks and praise for the beauty of this day and for this time that we get to share together to hear of all the wonderful things that you have put in place and continue to do here at the Lutheran Haven. This place that you have established and continue to sustain, we ask now that as we meet that you would garner in us thanksgiving and praise so that we might give you glory in all things. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, as always, if you're new around here, I usually throw up things like all the worship service, etc., and the Bible studies. I want to remind you that these Bible studies, especially on Monday and Tuesday, are open to everybody. You don't have to be a resident of the harbor or the lodge to go to one of those Bible studies. Feel free to attend at any time. And I understand that the Bible study in the landings has moved to Tuesdays at 1 p.m. If I'm mistaken, you can correct me later. All right. The Bible studies from St. Luke's, which is the Community Night Bible Study, and of course the Men and Women's Bible Study over at St. Luke's on Wednesday mornings, has concluded for the summer. They'll start up again in August. We ask that we check St. Luke's announcements for the current offerings for Bible studies that are currently happening on Sunday mornings. Those change from time to time, and quite frankly, I don't keep up all that well. So I encourage you to look at the announcement. Remember that we have two services at 9 o'clock, both the sanctuary service and the generation service over in Fellowship Founders Hall. And at 10:30, we have three services, one in the sanctuary, the fuel service in Founders Hall, and of course the service over in the Harbor Hall. The service in the Harbor Hall is one of those services for those of us who are probably a little less mobile. Maybe you come back from a hospital stay or something, you're still a little less mobile. Come on over to the harbor. There's no standing. We bring communion to you in your seats. It's a wonderful service. We encourage you. We had 70 in attendance last week, and with the rooms, we communed 80, so that was pretty good. Other worship times, of course, Monday night. We still have Monday night worship at 7 p.m. over at the chapel at the church. And afternoon divine service is June the 25th at 1:30, and you're stuck with me as your preacher. All right. There you go. We have fellowship times in between services on Sunday morning over at the church from 10 until 10:30, and at the harbor right after. We want to make sure that we ruin your lunch. So come on over, worship, ruin your lunch, and then go have lunch. All right. As a way of announcement, we have a change every July, and the change this year is that Vicar Grant will be giving his last sermon on July the 5th. That'll be Deaconess Intern Rachel's last day with us as well. They will both be finishing on the 5th, and I hope they're both finishing together since they're leaving together. Any rate, we wish them well. They have been a wonderful pair. They have done so many good things at St. Luke's and the Lutheran Haven. We look forward to seeing them in ministry within the Synod in the very near term. Our new vicar is Garrett Robeson, and he arrives with his wife on the 12th of July, his wife and two children, I believe, and he gets installed on the 19th of July. That which means he's going to be doing I guess the liturgy on the 26th, and he'll be preaching shortly after that in early August. So we look forward to seeing what Garrett has to offer, and if he doesn't have anything to offer, we'll send him back. I am kidding, of course. All right. With that being said, I'd like to have Deaconess Intern Rachel Burnham come on up. I keep calling her an intern, even though I've already turned in her final report and passed her. And she's already passed all of her exams, so as far as Synod is concerned, she's ready to be commissioned. Yee-haw. Congratulate her.
All right, thank you. Yes, last week we had K through 5 VBS. We hit 400 kids, and it was chaos, but wonderful and slightly organized chaos. And I know some of you helped with prepping for that or that week of, so thank you very much for doing that. This week is middle school VBS, hence still dressed like this. I managed to get through tie-dye with only a little bit of dye on me. But with that middle school VBS, you've seen in your farm boxes that they are going to be coming on Friday morning to do a walkathon through the Haven. So you have a map of their route, and I just wanted to come and encourage you to come out. They're going to have different questions to ask and just interact with you. I know it's hot, but find a shady spot somewhere, bring a chair and a cold drink, and they'll be coming around. So very excited for that. Hope to see a lot of you out there. Pastor Elliott kind of surprised me with the rest of this. So we recently finished training some Stephen ministers who have been commissioned and are currently working on being matched with care receivers. So that's something that's being offered now, and you'll see around. And we do plan on continuing this. So we don't have specific dates for the next training, but if you're at all interested, start thinking about it, let us know so we can see how many we have to do that next training. So that's being trained to be matched with someone for a longer period of time, to meet with about once a week, going through any kind of hard time, whether that's adjusting to like moving here or being new or a health struggle or things in family. And it equips you to encourage and pray with them and be that steady source of comfort. So we'd love to get that going a lot more. There's tons of people around the community, the church, and the Haven that could benefit from that. So if you're interested, let a pastor or me before I leave, let us know, and we'll give you more info as that comes up. And whatever you want to say about elders.
I don't want to say anything about it.
Oh, okay. And now we have Pastor Paul Wiegert coming up for a little bit more info.
Rachel, how many kids this section of VBS?
I think it's just over 100.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You said you hit 400 of them. How many were there?
They just needed one little bonk on the head each.
Aren't you glad you're going back to St. Louis?
I'm tired.
Well, good afternoon. I'd like to give you a brief report on Neighbor to Neighbor. The program is about 5 months old, believe it or not. I can't believe it's gone that fast, but it really has. And we've gone up to about 68 requests for help, and that number is growing. But just remember, when you ask for help, be patient, because it may take 48 hours for you to get what you would like to do. But we work as fast as we can, but just you remember that. But I want to also thank Mary Ann McCune for that excellent article that she wrote in the Beacon, that monthly newsletter from the SELC. And here she promoted Neighbor to Neighbor. I didn't realize that she could write that well. But in that, she embellished a lot of stuff when she came to me. Anyway, just to let you know that we need still volunteers, especially in the office help. Some of our office help is gone for the summer. And if you'd like to help us out, please let us know. And it's very, very easy to do, but it's a very important work that they do to match you with the people that need help. Also with text help as well. That's very, very important. So if you got any of the skills like that, please, just volunteer. And just remember, there's no guarantees. There's some things, we don't give you the moon. You ask, and if we can do it, we will do it. So, but there might be some things that we can't do, but just so you understand that. I'm going to be gone until August, and so if you need anything that goes wrong or not goes wrong, if they need help, I've asked Dave Orpagel to do the things filling in for me for that period of time. But I like to encourage each and every one of you to join up. It's really a wonderful program that we've got for our residents, and not only do they get help, but it's the people who help them really get help, and I can guarantee you that it sure has helped me in many, many ways. Thank you.
Before we answer the question on the screen, I have to ask you, do you have any questions of the pastoral care ministry? Nothing. Seeing nothing, then we need to answer this question. What do we celebrate today? Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday? Really? All right, well, today is the day that I celebrate that God has blessed me greatly and allowed me to serve in this place, because today is the 8th anniversary of my ordination. Thank you so much. It has been an honor. I'm not announcing any retirement, so relax. But, it'll come eventually. At any rate, I just want to thank you so much. It has been an honor thus far. To be here and to be a pastor in this place. You guys are super. You're wonderful. And I highly recommend retiring here. What a wonderful community. All right. I think next is probably activities, or are you playing somebody else today? Oh, and introducing Raleigh, who doesn't look like Lynn. There we go.
Thanks, Pastor. Yes, I am not Lynn. I'm not Lori. Thank God. All right. Lynn's on vacation and Lori couldn't be here today, so I will present for them. These are upcoming events. Cooking with Chef on June the 19th. Silver Linings Band. So this is a band from Prince of Peace that reached out to us. So that's upcoming on June the 20th. That's a free event. June 24th, bingo this month, it's Wisconsin. June 26th is the birthday lunch, looking at Miller's Ale House. This one I want to highlight, and I'm going to highlight it again in my presentation later, but June 29th, the Sheriff's Department Financial Crime Seminar will be taking place here. All right, there is a sign-up sheet over there. That's for you to attend. I encourage as many of you to attend as possible. One of my presentations later is about scams, but they'll be going through all these kind of financial crimes in this seminar for it. So please come out. They have a lot of wonderful information and help tools for you all to ward off all this evil that's going on out there with people who like to take hard-earned money from those who actually work for a living. Okay. So that being said, July the 3rd, Stars, Stripes, and Barbecue Bites, celebrating 250 years of freedom. So that'll be in the pool area and the fellowship hall here. July the 2nd, she hasn't figured out the movie yet, but that'll be forthcoming. July the 13th, plant-based potluck. 24th is the birthday luncheon at Pepe's Cantina. July 25th, Christmas in July craft fair. That's coming back. So that'll be a wonderful thing. She's already got a bunch of vendors signed up for tables in here and whatnot. So be on the lookout for that as well. 29th is bingo. And she'll have everything on the scroll announcements, and the flyers will be coming out in the farm boxes and all that. And of course, a lot of our events, the sign up sheet is down the hallway and that new wall that she's created there for all of our information to be posted. All right, and then a reminder that in July there is no town hall meeting. That's typically the month that we don't have a resident executive council or a town hall meeting. Okay. All right, that's her Christmas in July craft fair. There are vendors needed. Again, that's July 25th from 9 to 2. Lots of good thing in there. So when she has the flyers available, if you know of anybody, take the flyers with you, hand them out, promote it. All right, Corn Fest. Wonderful event, I heard. I was at seminary, so I didn't get to participate in all that sweet corn y'all had. Just shy of 200 people for that. They raised, I believe, I hope that figure is right, Mary Ann. Does that look correct? Yeah, $8,485.77. Yay. Thank you to everybody who came out, participated in all the raffle auction, items and all that stuff. We are able to have enough money now to refurbish our bells, which is a wonderful thing. So happy to hear that. And then whatever's left over out of that, the FRAC committee will decide how that's going to be divvied up from there. So again, well done to everybody, and I hope you all had a good time at that. All right. If you have any questions, Lynn will be back on Monday. Ask her. You don't want to ask me because I'll have it all screwed up. Okay. Let's see. Jeannie, are you going to talk for the Village Shop? Perfect.
Good afternoon. I don't know how many of you are aware of it or not, but every single person who lives in the Lutheran Haven is a member of the Village Shop. Did you know that? No. As such, we have to kind of bring some of our business to a residents meeting for approval and for voting on. The Village Shop bylaws require that there's a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. The president and the secretary are elected or appointed or volunteer, however that works out, on even-numbered years, and the vice president and treasurer on odd-numbered years. That being said, one of the first things I'd like to do this afternoon then is to have you approve, I guess that's the right word, myself as president and Ruth Wise as secretary, since this is an even-numbered year. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody want to do it instead? Okay. Secondly, also then falls to the general population of the Haven to approve bylaws whenever they are changed. And we recently have had to make changes in the Village Shop bylaws to make them in agreement and coincide with the changes that were made in the auxiliary bylaws, so that the proceeds of the Village Shop go to benefit the harbor, the lodge, and the independent living community. In the past, the independent living community has not been included in that, and we're following, again, the auxiliaries lead on that. So if we could, again, I guess, is there an objection to changing that part of the bylaws? Yes? Can you explain what they're doing for the independent community? Well, what it means is if someone in the independent living community has something that they think will benefit the community, they can request that it be placed on the wish list, so that instead of just things for the harbor and the lodge being on the wish list, Jerry had mentioned at one time a possible fitness trail kind of going through the community for some who might be wanting to use that. So that's the most common thing I've heard suggested, but certainly if someone in here has a suggestion, yes, take it to the administrative office and they'll put it on the wish list. And that kind of leads me to the other thing that we need to approve, along with the change in the wording. The other thing that we need to approve is the auxiliary has kind of fallen into the pattern of paying 70% of the wish list, and the Village Shop has then paid the other 30%. And I think the auxiliary at this point has made that a policy that they will cover 70%. They always say they'll pick up anything else that hasn't been covered, but we would like to make it policy that the Village Shop will pay then the remaining 30% of the cost of the items on the wish list. So those are the two changes that we need to make to our governing policies. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay. Any questions I can answer besides Julie's? Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to attempt to put this back in here. Just so I can block the tomatoes and the rotten eggs. It won't? No, don't do that. Okay, so can y'all hear me? Is that working, Jeff? Okay, good. All right, so I have a few things to go over. The first few are just matter-of-fact things for all of you to be aware of. And then I got to touch on some really important things. All things are important, but the first thing I want to address is the landscaping transition, which happens on the 29th. So one more Monday and Tuesday of our current vendor, Brightview, and then the new company, Landcare. You'll see them, everything that they have is orange, so you really can't miss them. They will be starting our landscaping program on Monday the 29th. So their leadership people are coming out later this week to meet with me again to review the things, and I feel bad for them because all I do is regurgitate all of the challenges that we've had, but it's important for them to know those things so that we minimize it happening going forward. That's, the biggest reason for the change is that we had challenges with our current company. So that happens on the 29th for everyone to be aware of that. The other thing that I wanted to address that came up in our rec meeting is garbage disposals and what goes in a garbage disposal. And I kind of cracked a joke during the rec meeting that you really shouldn't put anything in the garbage disposal, but then what good is it, right? So if you have the inclination, you can do a little research online, but it's fairly basic, and it really is some common sense stuff with what you don't want to put in there. You absolutely don't want to put any type of plastics, you got to be careful to not let plasticware go down the sink, and try to incinerate, not incinerate, but because that'd be fire. We don't want that. But the garbage disposal, we want to be careful with those things. But what I did was I looked up the predominant garbage disposal that we use is Incinerator. And I went on their website to get some specifics off of it. And let me just read what they say here. That not all types of food are safe to go down the incinerator. For example, bones, that's pretty obvious, right? Don't be throwing chicken bones or any other kind of bones. Shells, hard or fibrous materials, these things can jam it, right? So if you understand how a garbage disposal works, on the inside of the garbage disposal, it has a disc basically that spins around and some teeth in there. And when you put something in there, whether it's, potato or whatever, you put it in there, the intent is for that to grind it up. And when you're running your cold water down the sink, it flushes it down into the system and it goes away. So we want to be careful with what we put in there so that it doesn't clog it up and cause blockages. It's also recommended to not put fatty or greasy foods down there also because it congeals. So if you pour, your bacon and you've got bacon grease, for example, you do not want to pour that down there, especially if you're going to pour it in there. It congeals, it clogs it up, and it just creates problems. Sink will back up, and it just makes a big, huge mess. So we want to be careful not to put those things down there. again, it's always recommended, and I know it's a little bit different, but we tell the culinary staff all the time, scrape the plates off, because they actually have it in commercial size garbage disposal in the kitchens. And we remind them continuously, scrape the plates off first, and then, yes, some residue is going to go down in the sink when you rinse that. Before you put it in your dishwasher, you wash the pots and pans and dishes by yourself. So just be aware of those things. As I mentioned, you can do a little research yourself if you have something specific you want to see if you can go down there. You don't want to put fibrous things down there, banana peels and orange peels and all this stuff that will accumulate because it could bind it up. So you just want to be careful. Use some caution. Okay. So there's that.
David?
Yes.
Yeah, before you move away from garbage disposals, my opinion, they are obsolete. We really shouldn't be using garbage disposals at all. Whatever we put down, either the toilet or the drain, somebody's got to clean it out to where the water is once again potable.
Yep.
They also take up a lot of room under your sink. I would replumb mine own, but I have to change a lot of plumbing to do it just to get rid of the darn thing. What they do have is a little strainer like this. It's about $5 or $6. Since I'm doing all my own cooking and burning in the kitchen now, there's quite a bit that does collect in it.
Yep.
You tap it out into your trash can.
Yep.
You put it in the dumpster, and that night the opossums and the raccoons and the feral cats eat it, and it's gone.
So we want to use discretion. We don't want to feed the raccoons and the possums. But yes, your point is a very valid one. That doesn't mean we're going to run around and take everybody's garbage disposal out. But it's a valid point that we want to be careful. If we can minimize the use of it at all, that would be great.
Yeah, I would suggest as they refurbish things and new people move in, it be an option. Do you want a garbage disposal? They're
Yep.
about $100 to $300.
I see Raleigh writing right now, so he's taking notes back there. All right, so anything else about the garbage disposals before I move? Yes.
What would you recommend us doing to the non-garbage disposal things to do? If you've got your trash can, is there a way that they want us to where they want us to put stuff and how they want us to dispose of them?
Right,
Regular trash can?
Yeah, so I think I understand what you're saying. I guess what I should say to that is, I have 2 teenagers at home still, and they love the garbage disposal. They think anything and everything can go down there. We tell them all the time, throw it in the garbage, and it's easier just keep this in context. We throw our trash out, no matter how much is in it, every night, just because I've kind of set that parameter up at home, because the next day I don't want to hear, oh, there's a fly in the house, or it smells, or whatever. So, yeah, we do go through a lot of trash bags, and sometimes there's a half a bag in there, but that's just how we do it at our house. So, maybe not every day, but frequently change your trash from the house. And that should help with that, but, minimize the foods going into the garbage disposal if you can, is the best I could say for that. Okay. All right, so, the difficult ones are AC filters. Let me talk about AC filters, if I may. It came up in rec meeting, and again, we had challenges this time. It feels like, we had 1 or 2 really good times that we changed the filters where everything went great for everybody. And we continually have a hiccup in one fashion or another. So, one of the things that came up in the rec meeting was what actually is supposed to be changed. Where's the filter? Where does it go? And the short answer is it does depend upon cottage, landings, and so forth, where you live. In the cottages, predominantly, they go in the return, up in the air exchange, right? Not in the air conditioning unit itself. In the landings building, however, it does go into that unit. in the air conditioning unit itself. That's just the way they're made. That's the way that system works. So depending on where you live, it's dependent upon where they put the filter and how many filters. Some of the filters go in the ceiling of the return. Some of them, there's a spot on the wall. It's a smaller, narrower size filter, but it would go there. Okay? So when the guys enter your home to take care of the air filters, they have been asked multiple times to have you sign off if you're home. So please, if they don't do what you think they're supposed to do, let them know, I'm not confident with this, or I have a question or whatever, and let them try to answer. But I ask that when they are done, you sign off that they did it, but if you want to make a little asterisk, you want to call me if you don't want to do that in front of the guys, because it's awkward, and I get that. But I need to know so that I can continue to educate them on how this is supposed to work. We've gone over it enough times. I had a meeting with them again this morning. We got to get a lot better at this stuff with the filters and so forth, and what exactly happens with the drains and so forth. So going forward, I'm what do you want to say? Like redesigning the sign-off paper, going to make it a little bit larger, make the lines a little easier to see, a little bit more information on what they did with the, what size and the dates, and they're supposed to be initialing that stuff and turning it in. If they show up and they ask you to sign, like, oh, I don't have the paper, can you just sign this? They've been told, no, that's not going to cut it. We have a process for a reason, and we will get better at it. We need to be better at it for your sake. That's why we're here. Yes?
Could you check or comment about condensate drains in the?
Yes. Yeah, so the condensation drains are supposed to be done at the time that they do the filters, right? Because it doesn't take, I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't know how long it takes for one of those things to get clogged up. Depends on how humid it is, how much flow there is. But they are supposed to clean those out and check those when they go in to do your filters themselves. Okay, so that's with the filters.
Question.
Yep.
Years ago, we had one of our maintenance men that when he came to do the filters, the high ones,
Yep.
he carried a soft brush with him. And when this frame is open, he would brush.
Yep.
And it's something I can't.
You can't reach
but
it.
I know the dust is thick up there. Exactly, yes. It's
Okay.
thick. I need to have.
I'm writing that down right there. We can address that, whether it be a brush and a handheld vacuum or whatever. We can address that also, yes.
Okay, does the sign-off list apply to the landings?
Yes.
I have never seen one.
Yep. So at every filter, every home, yes.
Only if you're present though, right?
Yes, so, and if you're not there, and I was going to get to that, so, and if you're not home and you've allowed us permission to go in when you're not there, the guys have been instructed, they should be putting this either on your doorknob if they don't go into your home, or if you allow us to go in when you're not there, they should fill this out. And I actually revamped this to make it easier, less complicated for them, for only the operations guys. But they put a note in there, I changed your filter, I checked the drain, I cleaned the vent, and then leave it on your countertop so that you can see it. So there should be these in that scenario, yes.
Nope, not last time, not this time.
Okay, yep.
Whatever.
Yep, okay, so, not good, but that's why I'm addressing it now. So, as I mentioned, I did meet with the staff this morning. I went over it. I think they get the message. They might not have got it in the past, but they have received the message today, I'll tell you that. Okay, so let me go on a more broader regarding work. Yes.
How about the smoke alarm batteries? Are they?
Yep. So those are not, those, we're not going to be doing those every time we do the filters, 6 months to a year. I mean, those batteries should last at least a year. But
If you're in a private residence, the recommendation is every 6 months.
yep, yep. Yeah, so I was just referencing that the batteries themselves should last that. Like I said, every 6 months to a year, they should be done out, and we can note that on the form also. All right, so let me talk about work orders real quick. Sorry I'm taking so long. Work orders and access to your home. We've had some challenges recently with going into people's homes, and you know, the guys will get there for whatever their reason is. They'll knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and they think it's all clear to go into your home. And it may be, right? You might be one of the residents that are perfectly okay with that. But as tenants of the Haven, you have rights to have us show respect for your time and you being in your own home. So I bring that up to say this. When the guys go to your home, if they knock on your door, ring your doorbell, they've been instructed to give it a reasonable amount of time. You know, a minute is as long as a minute is, depending on which side of the bathroom door you're on, right? So if they're on the outside of the door, I've reminded them to make sure they give you all, one, enough time to hear that a doorbell has been rung or a door has been knocked on, and give you enough time to acknowledge them. Even if you're in the middle of something, you say, hold on a second, I'll be right there, if you could. That would give the guys the knowledge that, hey, someone's in the home, don't go walking in on them. If nobody answers and they have permission to go in, they're gonna go in. Now, what I did remind them this morning is, in that case, unlock the door, you open the door, and again, announce yourself. We do this in the assisted living all the time with the housekeepers. When they go in the morning to do their routine, they're supposed to knock on the door, and the resident is made aware of their presence, right? So I've reminded the staff to do that themselves going into your homes. So that addresses those of you that are perfectly fine with the guys going into your home when you're not there. Those of you that have, call me first. We need to do better at that. I've told the guys, you need to call. If it says on the work order, right, y'all put a work order in, change my light bulb or whatever it is, and you've requested that we call you first, they absolutely have to do it. And they have to make a notation in the work order, because as a reminder, you all can see your work orders. If you have the ability to see it, you can see it, you can see comments that are made, and you can make comments. So the crew has been reminded that they call first before they go and say, hey, I'd like to be there at 1 o'clock or whatever, so that if you want to be home when they're there, you can make sure they're there. That you're there for them. And then lastly, if you, for whatever reasons, do not want anybody in your home, unless it's an emergent situation, and by emergency I mean there's a flood, the pipe is broken, there's a flood, or there's some other kind of obvious emergency, smoke coming out of your apartment or your house, something like that, the guys have been instructed. You do not go into the home without the resident there. Call ahead, schedule it, make an arrangement, but we don't just walk into people's homes. So the crew have been reminded. We're working on, what I'd like to do is work on a list, because with the work order system, it says it right in the work order system, right? Call me first. Do not enter unless I'm there. It's when we're doing preventative maintenance type things like the air filters and so forth, that the guys aren't in fairness to them, they're not going to remember everybody who wants what and who is okay with us going in when they're not home and so forth. So I'm going to figure out a plan with concierge to make a list of the units that in the cottages that you all do not want us in there, so that they have it with them. And they know, oh, if I'm going to, apartment 6, they don't want me in, I can go, and I'm going to leave a notice that I was there, or I'm going to call ahead and leave a voicemail. But there'll be better communication, and this is just one of the ways for us to communicate better. So hopefully, that addresses the challenges that we've had of late with work orders and taking care of your needs through the operations department. Anybody have any other thoughts, questions? Hopefully I covered most of it. Yes?
Do they call from a phone that is a Lutheran Haven phone that'll come up and say Lutheran Haven?
That,
Is it a private phone?
right, no, so that they, I don't have mine with me, but each of the operations guys have a phone that is issued by Lutheran Haven. Honestly, I don't know if it says Lutheran Haven on it. Jerry, maybe you can help me. Jeff?
So many spam calls.
Correct, you
I
are,
don't answer spam calls.
yes, sir, yep.
So even if it comes up spam, if they leave a message, I can call them back.
Yes, that's excellent, yes, and I have instructed them to leave the voicemails, to leave the communication, even in the work order system, communication. So I will tell you after today, there's no reason for any one of the operations guys to say, I didn't know. I promise you they know.
Well, some of us know how to use the portal, and that's where that information is, and some of us don't use the portal, so that
Yep.
makes it important to know how to do it.
Yes, so, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that there's been, with neighbor to neighbor and stuff, offers to help people learn how to use it and so forth. But again, concierge is a great resource for that stuff. If you call concierge, whether it's, Jeannie or Kathy or whoever, Debbie, and just express what the issue is, you need a light bulb changed or whatever, I'm okay with the guys going in there. I don't want them in there. Communicate that to them, and they are excellent at giving us that information.
They always ask that.
Yep, good, okay. Okay, if that's it, I'm gonna go run and hide. Thank you.
And real quick, something else, real piggybacking off what David said about the notifications, right? You have a right to be notified in advance of when we're doing filter changes and things of that nature, okay? I just want to put that out there that we acknowledge that. That's something David shared with his staff this morning, reiterated with them and saying, hey, we get to doing this quarterly filter changes or any other PMs, we need to notify the residents properly. We can't be jumping around from here saying you're going to be in this section today and then showing up over here. Doesn't fly. All right, so we will get better at communicating that to you all in advance so you know when we're coming. Try to make those phone calls, alert you when we're there, and be more respectful of the privacy and the rights that you as residents have. Okay, with that being said, I just got a few things I want to bring up today. One is scams. And why am I bringing this up? You hear me bring this up quite frequently. There are more and more scams out there today, and they're getting more and more creative. It is absolutely terrible. I just saw commercials last night from the U.S. government, Medicare, telling you how to prevent the scams and how people are trying to scam you out of Medicare. All right? And I'm like, wow, if they're happening to promote this, then it must be getting serious. Now they're going after your Medicare dollars. So, for instance, here are some of the ways that these are things that have happened to our staff recently. There have been a few of us on staff in the last week who have gotten text messages from one of our administrative people, our CEO, who wasn't even in town. He was in an area on vacation that had no cell phone reception, but, didn't know that. And some of our staff members got what they were suspecting text messages from him. And it was saying, hey, I need you to call me. I need help with gift cards. I'm in a conference call, this, that, and the other. Then you find out that it's not even his number. that's showing up. You know, you can click on the little icon, even though it say JG, click on that, and it's not even his number. All right, they're getting more and more creative with these things. Another thing that happened was David's credit card got hacked a few weeks back, and he got a fraudulent alert on there from a bank, and I'll get into that in a second. Banks will sometimes themselves, I get this quite often. I got one last week, PinFed. Here's your PIN number, please call us, right? I don't even bank with PinFed. I know it's not my bank, so I just, deleted the thing. But they're sending out mass emails or text messages. Toll violations, there's another one that's ongoing. I get those quite frequently. You got a toll violation, we're going to revoke your license if you don't pay this $5.46. I haven't even been on the toll road recently. All right. If you got the wherewithal, most of them you'll go, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense in you. But some of them look real. So in the case of what happened with David, with his credit card, where he got a text message from the bank that we bank with saying, hey, fraudulent alert. But David, rather than answering the text message back saying, I don't know if this is actually from the bank, went down to our company bank, went and saw him in person, and they were able to verify that he had a fraudulent charge on his credit card. Now, David, I like your shoes, but a Louis Vuitton bag that's $3,000 doesn't match, buddy. So, and that's what was charged with his credit card, in New York City or wherever it happened to be. So more and more of those things are happening out there, and they look realistic, and they're trying to take your hard-earned dollars. So here's some things to remember. Anything government-related, they're not going to text message you, and they're not going to email you. Most of the time, it's certified mail. If it's that serious of a thing, okay? So don't answer texts or emails from the government or people claiming to be the government. If you get a text or fraudulent alert charge from a bank and it's not your bank, don't answer it. If it is your bank, I would suggest not answering the text message, but go to your local branch. Just go in person. Or if you know that that's the number of your branch, call the branch. They will talk to you about those things and be able to tell you. It's better to do it that way. It's an inconvenience, but you never know who you're getting on the other side of a text message. All right? And then here's a big one. Be careful with online purchases. A lot of us do the online shopping nowadays, and it's easy on Amazon or any of these places that have websites that you can order from. If you're going to do that, make sure, I recommend using your credit card over your debit card. Credit cards often have their own fraud protection things and whatnot, but nonetheless, be careful. Make sure it's a secure link. Make sure it's a trusted website. Don't just go ordering off of anything. We're not sure, but that's maybe what happened with David's credit card, because we order a lot of things online for parts and pieces that we've been dealing with, but sometimes these companies get hacked. There's always something in the news like every other day about, so there was a data breach over in this organization or that organization, And then you wonder sometimes how people get your cell phone numbers or your personal numbers or your addresses, right? It's all public information. Believe it or not, it's all public information. And what happens is a lot of times these companies get third parties and they buy their lists. So if you did business somewhere at one point in time, they had your contact, there's other organizations that buy those lists, and then they now have all your personal, information minus your, when I say personal, your public information. And then they're able to figure out how to scam you. Okay, but that's just a reality of some things that are public versus private. All right, and then, so again, I'll make that bottom point there. If you have time, please come out on June the 29th for Seminole County's presentation. They have a lot of good tools that can help you combat a lot of the things that are going on with scams. Julie, I see your hand trying to go up.
Well, I just got a text today saying that my electric bill was going to go up and that I should call them so they doesn't do it. Well, I don't get an electric bill because I live in landings, but I just wanted people that don't live in the landings to know that that's happening now too. Sure. Don't try and call that number at all.
No, and that's a good point. Know where you live, know what you have, right? Part of that is in the last few months, people have been getting things from FPL. If you've been in Florida long enough, you know who FPL is, right? Well, FPL isn't a service provider in our area. We all are Duke Energy. So don't buy it. Don't call them back, okay? Know who and if you have a question, contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you research it if I can. Yeah, that was from Duke, exactly. But you were wise because you don't pay the Duke Energy bill in that building. Exactly. Okay, so just please be careful on scams. As I get the information on it, I try to feed it to you.
Thanks. Speaking of phone calls that we get, I get phone calls from a guy that had my number 25 years ago, who's apparently a deadbeat, and I keep getting debt collectors calling me. Mm-hmm. So that caused me to do a little bit of research in how I block those calls. And I discovered this earlier in answer to the question about blocking phone calls. There's a setting on the newer operating system iPhones where you can have the phone not only block the incoming number, but actually screen and ask them what you're calling about. And then the scammers won't answer that. So I'm not getting a lot of spam calls anymore. The ones that are legitimate will answer it. And then you have it'll show you on your screen and you have the option of picking it up or not. If anybody wants any help with that, I'd be glad to show them. It's a really simple setting.
Thank you, Don. That's a great point. Exactly. And how many of you have Spectrum phones? Okay. Do you use the Spectrum phones to screen your calls as well? Exactly, right? So some phone services offer that. You know, if you have a landline, so to speak, some phone services will offer that as part of that protection. Now, here's the only thing I will say to that, okay? If you're going to screen your phone calls and maintenance is trying to call you, please pay attention to your voicemail if they're going to leave a voicemail. You might forget about it, forget you have a voicemail there and delete the voicemail, and maintenance has been trying to get a hold of you. Now, but nonetheless, it is important and imperative that you all have your head on a swivel and keep an eye out for these things. Yes, Yoli.
I also found out that they can also spoof a phone, so they can make it look like it's your bank calling you. It'll be the right number, but it's not the bank. Yes. They can copy the number.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they've gotten really creative in what they can do with things. So I'm more of a personal guy. I'd rather go to the bank and have a conversation than speak to somebody over the phone. Bruce.
Yeah, to go along with what you were saying, the caller ID pops up my doctor's name with his number, and it just sounded weird, but I said, can I call you back in a few minutes? And I called my doctor's office to ask what was going on. She said, just block the number. I said, won't I be blocking you then? She said, no. Even though it's the same name and number, that I can block that call and block a scammer.
Yeah, it's weird what they can do. Here's the advice I give my parents, because my dad's one of those guys that loves to pick up and answer every phone call that comes through, right? And sometimes he tries to be cute when he answers the phone. No, he thinks it's a scammer and he's trying to, play games with them. And I'm like, Dad, all they need to hear is hello or yes and get your voice, especially if you say yes. And now they can use that information to gain access to other things. So I'm like, if it's important, like your doctor's office, they will leave a message. Just check your message. So trying to dwindle, I rarely answer the phone anymore unless I know it's one of you all, because, your caller IDs will show up. But for the most part, I just let it go to voicemail. If it's important to leave something, then I'll know. But it's better to do it that way than it is to get scammed out of something. Okay? So again, one last time, June 29th, 10 a.m. in here. Seminole County Sheriff's Office will be here with a good presentation and some good tools for you all. 10 a.m. Okay. Miscellaneous. This is it. So we just had 2 big oak trees removed out by the pool out here you saw. One was dead. The other one looked like it had some green in it, but was actually dying. So I had them both taken out at the same time. We are, for those of you wondering, are planning on re-landscaping, putting new trees up. We took trees down, we need to put more up, okay? I say all that, I'll be working with the Building and Landscape Committee and some people on that committee about the appropriate kind of trees and what we're going to put out there. Why am I telling you all this? Well, that's to answer that question in case you're wondering if we're going to replace the trees. But the other thing is, don't use it as an opportunity. I know it looks inviting and nice and bare right now to pull your car up closer to the pool. All right, please park in the parking lot or drive your golf cart up there, but don't pull your car up in there. I saw somebody do it over the weekend, and I still have a drain field out there for the pool, and that's where our drain pop-up is when we have to drain the pool down sometimes. Don't smash that. That's an expensive fix. All right, that's all I have. I'll be available afterwards if you have any questions, but for the sake of time, that guy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This has been, so far, a really great meeting. And so we're bumping up against what our usual time frame is. So luckily for you, I'm going to go really fast through my stuff. I had a pretty reasonably long presentation, so I'm just going to kind of scoot through it. Most of what I was going to talk about, you guys have heard before. It was really more for the benefit of new residents. So if any of the new residents out there or residents have questions about the budget process and things like that, just call me or call Michael, and we can answer those questions. But I'll kind of move through those slides. So a couple of things just that I picked up during the meeting that I wanted to comment on. One, I want to thank Pastor Wiegert for all his efforts and all of the volunteers who have made the Neighbor to Neighbor program the success that it is. Again, that's one of the things that makes this community special is the hearts of all you guys, and that's why we keep our occupancy so high and people keep coming here, because this really is a special place, and you guys make it that. So I want to thank you for all of that. Also, when Jeannie was talking about the change to the wording of the village shop, I just wanted to address part of the reason that we moved to that independent living and expanded that is that as we moved to our aging in place model a few years ago, we do more and more outside of the assisted living and memory care, and we want to be able to use those funds to benefit the care for everybody. And care involves being preventive maintenance. We can access and use some of those funds if we need to do something for the gym or for the Be Well Clinic or for any of our other things that go on in the campus that relate to health related. And so that's why we wanted to go ahead and make that change so that we stayed in compliance with the bylaws and didn't just go beyond those. But that was the reasoning behind that, is to make that more accessible, because we want people to age and be able to care for themselves in their homes, not necessarily in a different setting. So that just opened it up for that. Going to a couple of the scam items that Raleigh was talking about. One of the things I heard him mention, the debit card versus the credit card. One thing to remember, and definitely I recommend 1,000% to use a credit card versus a debit card. A bank does not give you the protection that the credit card company does. So if somebody scams your bank or gets your debit card and takes money out of your account, it's gone. The bank will try and help you get it back, but they have no liability for that. And so if you use a credit card, you can call the credit card company, and there's always time for them to reverse the charges and things like that, and banks don't do that. So please remember that. As it relates to some of the other scams, many of you mentioned that you get a call here and there, and one of the things that scammers love to do is what I call piecemealing information. So what they'll do is one person will call you, and maybe they'll get your email address. Then you'll get a call from somebody else a couple days later, and they'll get another piece of your information. And then you'll get a call, and they slowly piece together all the information that they need to do a scam, or to get credit in your name, or to one of the big Medicare scams is that they order back braces and things like that. They get hold of your Medicare number and they just start ordering braces, so or other medical devices. Scooters are a big one. So if you get EOBs from your insurance company or from Medicare DME companies, look at them, Because if you didn't order it, then if you call them, that'll help stop those scams. The scam that I mentioned before about the piecemeal, that actually started in shopping malls. So if you ever remember going to shopping malls and you'd have a free contest, register to win a free so-and-so, they get your name, your phone number, your address, your email address, and now they got all that information and there's no contest. They just collected a whole bunch of information. So they just kind of updated that scam to now the phone stuff. And then the last thing before I get into what I was going to talk about was on the maintenance side. David, thank you again, and your guys, and for what they do, and your efforts to have them do a better job of serving our residents. One of the questions was, I think, about the phone call, and does it say Lutheran Haven on the thing? So somehow, somewhere, our number got on a spam list. And Jeff, tell me if this is if I'm saying this wrong, but we don't control that. There are so many lists. If we called somebody somewhere or several different people, and at some point they said, "Oh, this is a spam," and they reported it as spam, we get on some list. Then no matter what we do, a number could come up and it could show as spam on your phone. So we try not to do that, and I think we try and put the names on our Lutheran Haven phones for the staff. Is that right, Jeff? On our company phones, does it say Lutheran Haven as the name? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and if you have it in your phone and your contact listed as concierge, and it comes up as concierge, it overrides whatever the phone that I have. Is that fair, Jeff? That's right. Okay, so just be aware that it's not really something that we control. So it might come up that way. And one thing that's happened with me on the scams is I'll get a call from a local number like 407 da 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 da. And I'm like, well, I don't know that number. I'm not going to answer it. And it goes to voicemail. And I go look at my voicemail, and it's not 407, it's 883 or 833. So the number that shows on the screen, and I think, Bruce, you were kind of talking about, the number that shows up on the screen isn't necessarily the number that they're calling from. Or no, Yoli, I think you said that, yeah. And so that's, just be careful. And if it doesn't make sense to you, ask a question. There's nothing really that's going to be so urgent that if you have any doubts, you can talk to one of us. You can talk to Jeff or Raleigh or myself, any of us, and just say, this doesn't really make sense. What do you think? Because generally there's not going to be anything that urgent. Moving on real quick, what I was going to talk about is our current priorities, which are obviously occupancy and marketing. We've got some, I'll share a couple of capital projects numbers with you of our capital spending over the last few years and kind of how we've been spending that, so you can see where that money is going. I won't talk too much about our technology projects. Jeff is in the process of upgrading our servers after about 10 years, I think, in our firewalls and things like that, as we've become more and more reliant on technology, we have to make sure that we have the core of that, because if that breaks, everything goes down. We're so electronic, and so we're very appreciative of Jeff and Juan and all they're doing, and they're forward thinking. Jeff has made some changes that are going to save somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $3,000 a year. Just by being able, going out and doing research and finding ways that we can do things without having to be captive to these large companies that charge an arm and a leg for things. So we want to thank him for that. And then just a little bit on the budget. So I'm going to go through some slides pretty quick here. This is our current occupancy. So you can see we're still doing pretty well. We're about 93% in the independent living and about 74% in our assisted living. Year to date, we're at 95, just under 95%, in independent living and about 62% in our assisted living. But these numbers, the current numbers are as of basically today or yesterday. The year-to-date numbers are through April. So we still have May is not reflected in our year-to-date numbers, and those numbers are going to be increasing May and June. We've had really good occupancy and activity in our assisted living. So those numbers are moving like we would like them to. The next slide is looking at Lutheran Haven and our operating income. This is a slide that I always hate to put up when I see red on there, but nevertheless, it is what it is. You can see over the past few years that we have improved the operations, the operating income, and this year we're slightly behind last year. So if you look on the far, let's see, I don't know if the mouse will go up there. It does not. If you look over on the far left, you'll see the red 80,000. That means we're doing about 80,000 worse than we did last year through March. Again, those numbers are going to be going down because our census had been going up. So April and May, you're going to see those numbers start to come back down. And we anticipate that by the June numbers, we'll be back in line with budget and everything. So that also includes, we had a couple of big, like 50,000 plus one-time expenses that happened in March that drove that, and we won't incur those the rest of the year, so that'll flatten out. You can see across the bottom, just to kind of keep you aware that management is aware and we are operating as efficiently as we can. The percentage of G&A, which is essentially administration, as a percentage of revenue, operating revenue and expenses, right around that 10% mark. And if you look anywhere, Google anywhere or chat or whatever, you're going to look at for not-for-profits, that's a really, really good percentage. So we are trying to be efficient. There are some costs to that. Sometimes it takes us a lot longer to get things done, and sometimes we might not be able to do them as well as we'd like to, but that's the trade-off in that. I think Bruce has a question.
Can you kind of elaborate on how there's a waiting list to get in, but just because you have 3 units in assisted living, not everybody wants to go to assisted living. You're looking for the cottages.
Right. Yeah, so basically we think of the assisted living as a separate operation from the independent living, right? So on the independent living side, we have a wait list of 100 plus people, but they're not all ready to move in today. And so some of them are getting on the waiting list years before they're ever planning to move in, so that they make sure that when they decide to move in, they're up there. So on the memory care on the lodge, we do actually have a waiting list now. We're at capacity at the lodge. At the harbor, we don't have a waiting list yet. And so, but yeah, just because we have a waiting list or we have a vacancy doesn't mean that somebody from the waiting list is ready to move in. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to, again, in the interest of time, I'm going to kind of move over to the next. So this is Lutheran Haven as a whole. This is everybody for Lutheran Haven, okay? Independent, assisted living, the whole organization. This next slide is just the independent living, so just kind of you guys. And you can see, again, we are down versus last year by about 85,000. But again, I think most of those one-time expenses were independent living expenses. So this is skewed because we had a lot of one-time expense that hit in the month of March. So that kind of skews the year to date. And as we get farther through the year, those costs will kind of flatten out. And we anticipate that we'll be coming back in towards budget. And what I want to point out as we get towards the budget season is this number over here, this average cost per unit, because that's kind of what we use when we look at doing budgeting. And you can see it jumped up. It's in March of 25, it was at 50. A couple months ago, it was right around the $60, $50, right around what budget was. But it jumped up to this 108 because of those one-time expenses. So I don't want you to panic with those. that it's going to be this $100. We budgeted for it to be about a $65 gap. I still think we're going to be in line with that by the over the next couple of months. You're going to see that number come back down to it, but we are having challenges this year, and you can see where those are. Those are in the labor primarily, and then in the other expenses. And those other expenses, repairs and maintenance, are driving the boat on those other expenses, and some of the insurance, property insurance at our renewal kind of flattened out this year. We didn't have a big increase, so it wasn't as much that. But the wages and it really has nothing to do with hours. Our hours are pretty much, I think they're 0.03% higher than what we budgeted. So 99.97% we are on budget. So it's really just the cost of that labor and benefits. Health insurance is running much higher than, I don't say much higher, but at least 10% higher than we thought that it would be. So we're dealing with that. And I just want to point those out because those are factors that are going to be coming into our rate setting process. Capital spending, just to give you an idea, I don't think I've ever shown you guys any of this. This is from 2023 on through this year. So you can see in 23 and 24 we had huge capital dollars, but that's when we were doing our repositioning projects, the pool, the ALF, the lodge. We did a lot of construction and work on that. So you can see those pairing or those impacting. But one of the numbers I want to draw your attention to is the routine refurbishment. So these are where's that number right here. We are investing a lot of money and putting them back into the units. Is Raleigh still around, or did he jump? Okay, there he is. I think we've done well over half. Is that about right? Is that a fair statement, Raleigh, of our units? Yeah, of our units over the last 3 or 4 years. We have refurbished them, and the reason I want you to see this is that so that you know not only that we're doing it, because you can see us, you can see the construction guys and all that, but it's a significant dollar amount. We spend a significant dollar amount, and we reinvest it in the campus. So if you look here, including the repositioning, if we look at just the campus and the repositioning, that's 90+% of our capital spending goes right back into this, into basically what affects you and where you live. The technology, I don't count unexpected repairs in that, but you can see that number continues to grow. As a percentage of our total capital spend, that's replacing old air conditioners, some of our large air conditioning units, things like that. That's some road repairs, even though we have road repairs that we're still going to be making this year. That includes that. But I just wanted to give you an idea. The 2026 number is only 7 months. I think it's 7 months are in those numbers. Or no, these are capital numbers, so I've got them up through last week. So it's about 9 months of capital spending for this year. So our total for this year that we budgeted for capital is about 1.3 million. I think we're actually going to come in a little less than that this year. And so you'll know the way we kind of predict and use capital or prioritize capital spending is we look at what's related to safety and refurbishment, getting units ready so we can have people move in, and then we start looking at what things that we want and versus what we need. So if we come down to a point where we're cash flow is, we've got to watch our cash flow because maybe something hasn't come in, or we will hold off on the wanted projects. We will not hold off on the needed projects. And there's a fine line. My want might be your need, or your need might be my want. So there's some gray area that overlaps there, but that's our priority. So we've, an example of that might be the wood shop. It's been a year or two since we've done that, but we had to put that one off because it was not a need. We are planning this quarter to get that started, along with the village shop to get that started, because those are things that we really want to have done for you guys and for our campus. But our campus can operate safely without those things being done. But our goal and our plan for this year, and I don't think we're going to have to delay them, is to get those at least started by the end of the year so that we can get those finished. But anyway, there's some capital spending numbers for you. Next, this one is real fast. This is just work orders, number of work orders that get completed. So on average, throughout the years, we've averaged about 300, a little over 300 a month, and we're just slightly under that now. We're right there. 2026, we're right at 300 that the guys do. So that's a lot of tickets. That's a lot of work orders, and that our guys are doing. So I just kind of want to give you an idea of that volume. So for the year, on average, it's close to 3,000 to 4,000 a year in work orders, quantity of work orders. And some of those work orders take a long time. Some of them take a second to change a light bulb. So kind of hard to say you should average this many hours per work order. Next, I'll go through the budget process real quick. Again, it's a board of trustees tells us and determines what they want for the organization. They balance the future needs with the current needs, and then the budget itself represents our best guess, management's best guess at what it's going to take to meet those objectives. For rate setting, we do two different processes. For new residents that will move in after September 1st or after October 31st, really, their rates are what the market rates are going to be. So we do a competitive analysis. We figure out what those rates are where we fit so that we maintain our best value status. And I will tell you this year, I'm not anticipating any big moves in that. I think the market is pretty flat, and we're in a good spot on the market, so I don't know that those are going to move up too much for new residents moving in. For existing residents, it's the same process that we did last year. We will look at the anticipated increase in expenses. We have the third year of the phase-in for the last year of the phase-in for existing residents of the second person fee. This will be the last year. That'll be an element of it. We have a third element that factors in that the board can implement, and that is that gap, that $100 or that $60. We have an element in there that the board can say, we want to narrow that gap, so we're going to put an add-on to the expenses. We have an anticipated expenses. Let's say that's going to be $50 at thing. They could say, we're going to add another $10 so that we can reduce that gap. Last year, they waived that, so the only thing that affected your increase was if you had a second person fee that was being phased in, and then just the anticipated increase in expenses. Those were the only two elements. But I just want you to be aware that there is a third element that the board, 2 years ago, the board did use, and it helped. I'm not anticipating that we're going to do that. I mean, I'm anticipating that we are going to waive that again this year. That's the approach that we're taking and the mindset that we're taking as we put the budget together. That all our rate increases this year will only be to cover the expected increase in expenses. So that's not a guarantee. Saying it real clear, and Jeff, I hope this is on tape. That's not a guarantee that we won't do that, but that's our goal. We were able to do that this year, and I think it's going to work this year. That by the end of the year, we're going to see that I think we were at 6450 at the end of last year. That's what we budgeted, and I think we're going to see that that's about where we end up this year. As we still have a little bit, maybe a little bit less of a gap in there. I'm going to go through, I'm not going to go through the detailed process of it. Just real quickly, where we are, I'll be working with Dwayne Masal, president of the Resident Executive Committee. He and I have met once already this year, right before I left for vacation. And so we'll be working with him just like last year to come through. We'll look at various scenarios of how to apply those the rate increases, just like we did last year. We have a new one that I think one of the residents, I think it was Mr. Cron, suggested we look at it on a square footage basis. So we're going to add that and see how that shakes out for everybody. Our status right now is we're still trying to populate the files and update them for some of the changes that we're looking at. We're trying to deal with labor. Labor is going to be one of our biggest challenges this year because of the new minimum wage law and the impact that's going to have on all the other positions. So we have some positions that when they get up to the minimum wage, they're going to be making more than maybe their supervisor's making. And so we've got to raise that supervisor level. So we're trying to kind of figure that, how to model that into our budget process. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down because that's the crux of everything, and then I'll open it up for questions. And Bruce, I see you're fighting. One arm wants to go up, the other putting it down. What you got?
Now or later, are there plans to expand the campus? I understand that we have a big lot of land that's actually owned by either St. Luke's or Lutheran Haven to the east of us here.
Sure.
Are we going to put other stuff on?
Yeah, so the answer to that is I don't know, but just to clarify, the question is we have a lot of property across the street, and it is Lutheran Haven property. We have about 45, 50 acres, something like that, of which about 35 to 40 of it is developable. Because of wetlands and stuff like that. So that was a part of our original 5-year plan 5 years ago, was to expand. And so, but we had to vacate that because of the cost of expansion. That has no infrastructure whatsoever over there. So it's a very costly deal to expand. But over the next few months and at our August board retreat, that's what we're going to be talking about, is what our next 3 to 5 years we're going to do, and whether or not what we're going to do with that property, if anything. There has been nothing decided on it, but the plan has always been to hold that property and at some point be able to develop it or use it for the good of the Haven. Any other questions? Okay. Have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed day, and thank you for everything that you do.